Hello, hello everyone. Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching us. Um, you're all welcome to today's event. It's really lovely to get to see each and every one of us here. So I'll just give you a couple of few seconds for people to join, for more people to join. Then we'll go into the event proper. So you're all welcome into today's event. So we are more or less waiting for a couple of people to join. Welcome everyone. So I'm waiting a couple of other people to join. I'm giving a few more seconds for people to join. Then yeah, we'll begin proper. You're welcome. Good afternoon. Good morning. I mean it's evening time here, 5 p.m. West African time, and it's pretty sunny at the moment. Although we're actually in the rainy season, but it's been sunny all through today, and it really is a lovely weather so far. Yeah, just more or less welcoming everyone into today's event. Um, so much expectations for me in this particular event because I'm really like this is one of the topic I've really been looking forward to having discussions on and getting to hear from experts on. And I'm really looking forward to today's event. Yeah, let's give it for a few more seconds for a couple of more people to join. And yeah, we'll begin the event proper. Thank you very much. A few more seconds for more people to join, and yeah, we'll kick it off. Okay. Okay, just 2 more minutes for more people to join, and yeah, we'll take it off from there. In the meantime, I mean, while we are waiting more people to join, can anyone of us like probably want to share how the weather is at their end? I mean, is it sunny? Is it raining? As I mentioned earlier on, it's actually really sunny, pretty sunny, and the sun is currently scorching. I mean, it's pretty scorching at my end here. I don't know on chat. Does anyone want to share how the weather has been currently at their end? And it's pretty. Will I say it's winter now? Is it winter or summer? Oh yeah, I think it's summer. Yeah. So on chat, can anyone just okay? Yeah. Welcome, Moses. Yeah, welcome. It's always good to actually be here. Yeah, welcome. I mean, welcome everyone as well. And I thank you all for joining in for today's event. And just as I mentioned earlier on, it's really gonna be an interesting one. It's gonna be fun. There's so much to learn around the topic for today's event, and I'm really looking forward to diving into the topic for today. Just quickly, Oluwatobi Lobaye, hi, you're welcome for today's event as well. Diving in quickly, not to just waste our time, still welcoming everyone. Does anyone take like a time to share what the expectations will be for today's event? What do you think are your expectations for today's event? What do you expect to learn? What are those key things you feel you would need clarity on as regards the topic for today's event? Just in 5, 10 seconds anyone wants to share on in the comment chat. Quickly. I mean, as I said, it's really an exciting topic, especially around cloud, especially around DevOps and every other thing that pertains to it. And my expectations are very, very high. I'm looking forward to taking a lot from this particular session. So I don't know. I mean, I'm looking into the chat now to see what the expectations could be as regards the topic for today. Keep them coming. Let's get to see what your expectations are. But actually, nobody has expectation for today's event, for the topic today. All right, we're expecting them. Keep them coming. Okay. Anyways, I mean, just as I mentioned earlier on, it's really an exciting one. Oh, okay. I got one here. So Moses is saying he's really excited to learn more about DevOps and how you can actually leverage DevOps alongside with AWS. Yeah, I mean, we're looking forward to learning a couple of things around DevOps as well as it relates to AWS. Yeah, so let's put up our get our pen, our notebook, get a bottle of water as well alongside, and yeah, let's prepare for the topic for today's event. I really can't wait. I mean, we have our speaker as well in our midst, the person of Bob Adewusi. He will be introduced shortly as well when it's time for him to take and get to speak on the topic for today. It's really exciting to have you all here once again. And yeah, without wasting much of our time, yeah, I more or less want to, I mean, before we go off from the welcome address, I want to more or less ask one more question before we go off quickly. Does anyone have any interesting thing he or she has been working on lately as regards AWS cloud, or probably any cloud tool out there? Anything interesting so far that you worked on or learned so far? If anybody care to share, you could just do that quickly in the comment section. Yes, thank you. I mean, keep them coming, keep sharing them. It's been so much it's so much of learning lately, especially in the community. There's so much content going around AWS services and tools and resources. Yeah, that's nice. Can we put that in chat? Anything you care to share as regards things you've learned or you're working on currently as regards AWS? Oh, Party Rock, nice one. Nice one, Noibi. That's actually a cool one. I know there are a lot of things that that are guided towards Party Rock. Thank you very much for sharing that. All right, one more quickly before we go. Oh, AWS Code Family. Oh, okay. Nice one, Buluatifer. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. I mean, so much to learn in terms of AWS and their resources and tools. And it's really exciting as well to be here to learn to learn a couple of things, a couple of concepts as regards AWS. And yeah, I'm looking forward towards that. Oh, AWS PDK, nice one. Thank you, Busari, for sharing that. All right, quickly, thank you all for joining us again. And yeah, it's really exciting to have you all here once again in today's event. And I'm really looking forward to each and every one of us taking one or two things from today's event. Just as I mentioned earlier on, get a notebook, get a pen, get a bottle of water as well besides you, because there's so much to take in today. And yeah, thank you all for joining once again. And I will be giving it up to the next person to take it up from here. Thank you very much. And you're all welcome once again. So Fauzia will more or less take the next item on the agenda. Thank you very much.
Oh, hi everyone. First, am I audible, please?
Yes, you are. You can go
Yeah,
on. Thank
great.
you.
So, hello everyone, and it's so nice to be here with you all this wonderful evening, where we are going to be learning about AWS. We're going to be not just AWS this time, but DevOps on AWS. And trust me, that is a very, very interesting topic that is about to be handled, to be smashed, to be broken down by someone that is very, very capable. I'm talking about a DevOps and cloud engineer with extensive experience working at Seamless HR in Nigeria, Nethermind Blockchain Company, and Jason AI. He is a co-founder of Fila Startup. As an ex-Google scholar and an ex-Azure developer intern at Microsoft, he has honed his skills in cloud technologies. Additionally, he contributes to the tech community as an AWS community builder. He is passionate about mentoring newbies and young people in the field, helping them navigate through their careers in tech. I'm talking about no other person than Bob Adewusi. He's going to be talking to us about DevOps on AWS, best practices for security, compliance, and governance. So today, basically, we are diving into DevOps on AWS, focusing on this that I have mentioned, that security, compliance, and governance. As some of us know, and for those of you who do not currently know, you are going to be knowing today because you have the best person to do that. So, DevOps is all about combining development and operations to improve software delivery. When using AWS, we have powerful tools and services at our disposal, but it is very important to secure our applications and data. I mean, what is the essence of having your application and data running in the AWS cloud without putting in the best practices to have them secured? So, for security, we are going to be covering ways to protect our infrastructure, like using IAM to control who can do what. The IAM is identity and access management. We're going to be looking at compliance, which is about ensuring that we meet legal and regulatory requirements, and we would look at tools like AWS Config to manage this. And finally, we're going to be looking at governance, which involves policies and procedures to maintain control over our environment. And we're going to be looking at tools like AWS Cloud Formation for automated, consistent infrastructure deployment. And by following all of these, we are going to be making DevOps processes more efficient, secure, and compliant on AWS. So get ready today to learn how to keep everything running not just smoothly but also securely. So we welcome Bob Adewusi to do justice to this for us. Clap, clap, clap. Pa, 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 Milo.
Fauzia, Fauzia with the energy. I really love. Fauzia is always Fauzia is always energized. I mean, I really love the drive. I really love the commitment towards ensuring that we could properly equip people, especially those in this space with the right knowledge, right? And I also want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to be able to share insights on this really nice topic, right? I think the most important thing that makes me keep coming back is I see the commitment to not just people picking up skills, right? I think it's easy for you to go on YouTube to go and pick up these skills, learn one or two things. But the mistake that people make, or differentiates a what differentiates an ordinary engineer from a world-class engineer is that we follow best practices from experience, right? There are certain things that we have done that has caused harm before, and so this is how best practices are being brought forward. So not just to dabble around all of those things again. I think I can share my screen, right? I can just dive into it. um blah, 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 blah. Okay. I think I need to add my file from Google Slides. Most of the time I always forget how I how I did this thing the first time. All right, so just give me a minute. Let me just share from my Google slide. I hope everybody can hear me though.
Oh, yes,
Can
yes, I can hear you audibly.
uh, mhm. Oh, they say I'm registering. I'm coming in as a guest user. Mr. Emmanuel, can you? I think there's a way you can help me. Right? Okay, I can just share my screen. Oh, that's beautiful. All right, thank you very much.
Yes,
I
I can
think I
share
can just.
screen. Yeah.
Can everyone see my screen? Oh, it's it
Uh,
coming up.
we're
Not
waiting for it
yet.
to come up. Yeah.
All right.
All right, beautiful. So thank you guys. So today I'm going to be talking about best practices for security, compliance, and governance on AWS. Because one of the things that we are trying to, very much come to is that we want to make sure that every area is covered, especially when it comes to security, when it comes to compliance and governance. And I think one place that one aspect that engineers don't really, do so much or learn about. It's not even out there normally on YouTube, to learn compliance or to learn governance. And most of those things are what I'll be, sharing with us, especially if you are, you are part of a company where, you would normally do audits against your infrastructure, audits against your solution, right? We apart from you just building and putting it out there and just telling people, oh, we are this, there are certain checks that needs to be checked, especially when it comes to compliance, to check against your environment. And most of these things is the same thing when we talk about audits for finance, right? You see that an external party is going to come to your organization and say, you know what, we know that you guys have been able to do certain things for the past 1 year, so we are going to check your books. We are going to see if you're actually compliant. Recently we saw that Heritage Bank's license to be a bank or to run as a banking organization was revoked. Why? It's because they were not compliant, right? So we see how important compliance can be, especially when it has to do with running a company or running a tech company, even beyond just whatever we have on AWS, running a tech company. And so we will check compliance, but today we'll just be focusing on compliance, as regards to infrastructure on AWS. And also we would also be looking at can everybody see me though? It looks like, am I dark or am I so today we'll also be looking at uh we'll also be looking at compliance, especially governance as well, and how to orchestrate all of these things. And so what I'm talking about is introduction to AWS security, compliance, security best practices, compliance practices, governance best practices, sign tools that we use for all of these things, and then just summary and QA. And so I think the first and most important thing to know is to properly understand the concept behind all of these keywords, right? It's not just about throwing these keywords around. It's a proper understanding of what these keywords mean helps us to now begin to reaccess our infrastructure, reaccess our orchestration, and begin to see how we can, properly mitigate some certain drawbacks that we have, or how we can actually improve our infrastructure at large. And the first thing is security, right? Because I've seen people mistake, security for compliance or security for governance. There are three different things. Now, security is protecting data, You can see protecting systems and assets through robust security infrastructure. And it's not. I'm not going to go too in depth into all of this because it's more or less just bringing us to knowledge about these things. But when we talk about especially security, protecting data, we see that we want to protect data. A company is, let's say, banks. Now, banks are to they collect a whole lot of personal information from people, right? They collect your name, your address, your phone number, they have your account number, they have your account details. In fact, your PIN that you think is secured to you, actually in the back end, they have a place where it is being stored. And that is why when you log in back into your bank apps and you put your PIN into it, it would read that, oh, this data can be found somewhere. So for you to input that data, it means that it is somewhere, and then it can authenticate or it can agree with what you are trying to input. So no data is, we like call it private alone to you. So for every application that you are registering on, any software you are registering on, you should understand that your data is not a ghost. It's not spirit. Your data is not spirit. And so it means that if all this vital data, now imagine your address, your all of these things are on a system somewhere. If an hacker or somebody who is into cyber stalking or something comes across these data, they can use this data for anything. They can use this data for anything. I've seen people, because of leak of data, they've tracked them to their houses, done so much rigorous things to them. And so we see how important data is, right? And that's just for data. When it comes to security, for systems as well, your whole infrastructure your whole company can go down the drain if there is in fact, if there is a point to access your application and to destroy it. I would also give certain examples like that as well when we go forward and we talk about these tools. And so the process of combining different technologies, different layers of security, different orchestration, different implementations to ensure that all round we are secured, is are the things that we are going to be talking about, in this security infrastructure. And now when we talk about compliance, compliance means adhering to laws, regulations, standards applicable to your industry and region. So it means that for someone for an application or for a company that is developing a fintech app, there is a law, there is a regulation that is applicable to that, especially infrastructure wise. And we are going to be seeing some of those regulations, in subsequent slides that I'll be giving an example of. And so it means that for everything that you want to build, some of us here are, we are going to be startup founders in the future. We are going to be part of, board of directors for making decisions, when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to building solutions for the next generation, or even currently we are right now. One of the things that we must also, as much as we are building, we must also checkmate against. In fact, you'll be surprised to know that there are so many companies that have built so many solutions that are not being used today because they failed to meet, sign compliances. They failed to be compliant to their industry standards. And if you are not compliant to industry standard, you would not be able to utilize the application or be able to roll it out. In fact, you'll be shocked that some applications are not on Apple Marketplace or even on Play Store today because there are certain compliance issues they have. This is something that we've heard a couple of times, right? And the one that pertain to infrastructure is especially in AWS are the things that we'll be talking about today. And when it comes to governance, right? Governance is just about managing, and enforcing policies to ensure security and compliance, objectives are met, right? So it means that when it comes to governance, let's say Emmanuel is joining my company, right? There are certain policies I'm going to enforce on him. There are certain permissions I'm going to give him. Let's say to a developers group, I add them to a developers group with certain permissions. So he might not have access to be able to delete certain things or to even delete at all. Why? Because of the governance policies, that I have enforced, and also managing it at large is also a way of establishing governance, in a company. So I'm just going to go straight down into security best practices. And first of all, we have the IAM. In fact, if you want to do anything that has to do with security, in fact, before you start building whatever thing that you want to build, the first place that you must become familiar with, the first section that you must become familiar with, has to be IAM policies. In fact, when it has to do with creation of the littlest thing like EC2 instance, that's if EC2 instance is even the littlest thing. You see things like key pair, all of these things. You must become very familiar with roles, policies, groups, users. How do I secure these things? Right? Even currently now, in several applications, they've been mandating setting up MFA. All of these things can be done. Like now in my company, AWS, you cannot just log into the console by just using username and password. You have to also authenticate by a 2FA application, which I'm sure most of us have an idea of what a 2FA application is. Where they send you a code and then they tell you, okay, confirm this code. Now, why? Because most of us are sometimes even careless about our laptops or about our devices. And today, in fact, let's say you log in to the console on your laptop and you save sometimes we do save for later. We save the password. So it means that this password will automatically sync on all of our devices, be it our mobile phone, in as much, especially for Google Chrome, because I use Google Chrome. So it means that either I'm using my iPad or I'm using my iPhone or I'm using my laptop, this password is saved on all three of these devices. So even if someone has access, to my phone and does not have access to my laptop at all, it means the person can still have access, to that username and password, right? And so it is important that we set up two-factor authentication or multi. In fact, it can be more than two, right? So I've seen some people that use username and password, they use face ID, you use thumbprint, you use you use even the code itself, the 2FA code itself. And so you see how important it is, in setting up all of these things, especially um implementing principle of least privilege, right? You have an interning in your company. First of all, you don't want to give them an access to be able to delete. See, delete operation is the most risky operation for it, or can be the most dreadful operation that can be carried on, because somebody can just go. I think I don't know if most of us heard there was a news that went around sometime that an employee of Google, that is GCP, right? Was it GCP? I can't remember what cloud platform it is. They were working with a client, and then I think the guy that was operating or that was managing the assets for the client mistakenly deletes all of their assets. So it deletes all of their assets, including their whole infrastructure. Imagine someone deleting your whole infrastructure. You've built everything, set up every of the orchestration, and somebody mistakenly just deletes all of your infrastructure. Now, the reason why that was able to happen is because there was no form of authentication or no form of approval or no form of processes that goes on before a delete operation is being carried out. And so implementing principle of least privilege, that means give a user only the permissions that is needed to carry out his or her job, only the permissions that is needed to do or to carry out certain operation. And we can implement this principle and this is a practice. I'm not talking about the tools or the step by step to do this. This is a practice, best practice. And so IAM enables us to be able to do this. Or IAM. I like calling it IAM. But IAM, right? Identity and access manager also gives us the opportunity to also be able to enable multi-factor authentication. Now, the next thing is encryption, right? Encryption is really important because when we begin to understand how data is being transferred, now when I mean data can be anything ranging from pictures, from videos, from texts, right? Data can be to audio, all of those things. That is data, right? All of those things are data, right? And so when we look at it and then we begin to recognize, okay, when I am not, when I register on a platform and I impute my password, I impute my details, Now, where is this information stored? Is this secured? We've had several times where we needed to onboard, a client, let's say to use our product, and then they actually request for a call, with the infrastructure team in my company, and then we need to explain to them how their data is secured on our end, right? And so we see that encrypting data at rest and in transit is as important, is very, very important. That is why you must not, that is why you cannot see any, good application, sound application that runs on HTTP. It is impossible. If you do that, you are endangering all the things that you are. That's why we pay so much and attention to and so much investment into making sure that our application, our website, is being secured at every point in time. So the utilization of SSL certificates, to be able to secure this data transit and data at rest, is really, really important, right? And this is just when it comes to data and all of these things, right? Access to the console, then data. And the next one here is networking and security. Now, this is where most people focus on and leave out the other ones. You know, everything you do, just know that network and security is just a part of the security best practice. It's not the whole thing. But this is where most people focus on. You set up a VPC, you set up security group, network ACLs for traffic controls. And security groups, I always describe VPC as a compound, right? A VPC is a compound, is a private compound that nobody has access to. Now, the only way you can gain access to a VPC or to a compound, let's say, is through a gate, right? Now, the similar one in AWS is called Internet Gateway, right? So you see how the naming convention matches the ideology. So you enter into a compound first of all, right, through the VPC. Now, I'm giving us, I want to properly explain the layers of security when it even comes to networking and the resources, right? And so that we begin to understand how we begin to implement security for every of these layers. Now, the next one there is that immediately I enter a compound, there are several flats. Now, I can't still access the several flats unless they open the door for me. True. And so these doors to get into this flat and to get into this flat, I term them, the security group and network ACLs, right? So security groups, let's say you open security group port 22. I've done this mistake. I'm not sure it was a mistake, but it was an ignorance on my part where I set up a web server in an EC2 instance, and then the web server is supposed to run on port 443 because I had even certificates running, and then I did not open port 443 on security group. And so I troubleshooted all through the night, trying to make sure in fact, I would uninstall the application, install it again, and try it again. It would not work. I would go on YouTube video, check out the video I just followed. Like, I don't know if anybody has been there before. You follow the video from beginning to the end. Their own worked, but your own did not work. So it can be really, really frustrating, right? And so only for me to check my security group, and I saw that had not opened that port. Now it means that was a security measure I just put in that was in place, right? Is that nobody can access my application or nobody can access my infrastructure unless I open the door for them to. Now, network ACLs are mostly used also when you want a one-way traffic. You only want traffic to come in or you only want traffic to go out. Right. So if you only want traffic to come in, we have some certain orchestration like that for certain databases where we only want data to come in. We don't even want data to go out, right? So some of these orchestrations you can use the network ACLs. And when it has to do with AWS WAF, we're talking about firewall rules. Firewall rules is as important as even with setting. I've had an orchestration before, even with setting opening security groups, you might not still be able to access the application within because of firewall rules. And so that is why this is also important to set firewall rules and allow only communication from the service and from the port that you want it to send to send information from, and to also ensure DDoS protection. You use Shield, AWS Shield. So DDoS protection, when we talk DDoS, we are talking about denial of service. So it means that when you have a URL or you have an endpoint and then somebody somewhere is bombarding that endpoint with a whole lot of traffic. And so it can actually destroy your application, that is, crash your infrastructure, or it can make it relatively slow. And so you want to open google.com. I'm just using that as an example, and then it is taking 2 hours to load. And we know what it is with with user retention. If any of us have done that kind of research before, user would only remain on your website if the website is going, as soon as they click, it is going to the next page. Now imagine I click on a link and then it's taking me hours to load just one page. I would get tired and I might not even come there again. And for monitoring and logging, we're talking about using AWS CloudTrail for API activity. So anybody that is running a thing, or that is accessing almost every service, if not every service on AWS, has an API. They have an API. So it means that for anybody that calls that API for the resource, let's say VPC, or you spin up an EC2 instance, or you spin up a Kubernetes cluster, or you do anything within AWS, I can see that operation from my AWS CloudTrail. And so it means it is easier for me to be able to track activities, to be able to know who did what. And so it's not that you crash the infrastructure and I say, I'm not the one. No, let's go to CloudTrail. Let's go and check. And so once we check, we just say, this is Fauzia now. And so we are able to fish out Fauzia from there. And so also using CloudWatch, we are able to monitor and set alerts, right? Setting alerts is as important. It's very, very important, right? Because, we had several orchestrations sometimes where at certain points of the month, they always have, the usage of their servers spike up relatively. And so it means that for that to happen, you need to set up alerts to bring you in the know. And when it even has to do with security operation, so if there's an endpoint that somebody within, it's only people within an IP range that can access it, you can set an alert to tell you that. So if there is anybody outside of this IP range that tries to reach this endpoint, please alert me, so that we can be more proactive in attacking those things. So that is why it is important to set up monitoring and alerts for your infrastructure. In fact, even for budgeting, if you see that the amount we are spending, or that we budgeted for, we are already exceeding it, you can set up alerts to notify you when all of these things happen. An alert can be sent to your mobile phone, it can be sent to your email, it can be sent to Slack, it can be sent to Microsoft Teams, whatever application you are using. And then we can also use AWS Security Hub, to give us a centralized security overview, and it will even tell us, okay, this point, you are not being secured yet, so you can easily secure it. And I would advise everybody to leverage on AWS Security Hub. And now for compliance best practices, now there are compliance frameworks. Now, the same way some of us, we used to write HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then there is a framework called React. There's a framework called Vue. There's a framework called React Native, if that is what it is for mobile guys, right? And so it means that we have Tailwind CSS for CSS. Now, those are frameworks. Those are things that they are like standards. Yeah, so they are like listed standards that is expected from your infrastructure. So it means that if you finish setting up your infrastructure, you must check them against the standard. You have to check them against the standard, and they have to pass. So once they pass that standard, then they can certify your application as compliant to that compliance regulations. I recently just did SOC 2 for a company, and one of the things with SOC 2, one of the implementation in SOC 2 is that your production server should not be just accessible over the internet. They must be accessible only through VPN. And so it means check the orchestrations you've been doing all this while. Some of us have done certain things, right? How many times did you only try to access a server only through VPN, right? Some of us, we don't even know that this is an orchestration that should be done, right? And so we should, as engineers, we have to also be in the know of these frameworks, right? Of this compliance framework, because it helps and aids our orchestration better. It helps and aid our orchestration better. And so we also have AWS artifacts to access compliance reports. So if you have AWS accounts. You can check AWS artifacts. Now, AWS artifacts is going to, in fact, you can set, the different servers or the different environments that you want to check, if you are compliant against, and it gives you a report of, okay, you are not compliant here, you are compliant here. Oh, this port is open. Oh, you did not set up IAM policies for this user. Oh, this secret is exposed. It gives us recommendations on how to mitigate those errors and for us to become compliant. And for data, protection, I think I'm taking too many times, so I'm just going to try as much as possible just to try to round up here. Auditing reports, regularly audit your AWS resources. Have a documentation of the resources that are being spinned up. Don't just anybody that wants to do anything just go and create anything anyhow. No, there has to be a proper documentation. There has to be a proper audit. Every now and then, go to AWS, check the list of resources that you've spinned up, across different jurisdiction, database, secret management, the littlest things like keeper. The littlest things, you would be shocked how the littlest things that you do not even pay attention to cost you money. And so from those things, you are able to also track any resource changes and how they are compliant, even with using AWS config. We can also take third party attestation by leveraging on third party certifications. I know of a company like that. It's called Drata. So Drata is actually a company that checks your infrastructure, checks your environment to see if you are compliant, and they certify you, right? So these are the things that you want to now put up you want to, in fact, you'll be shocked that Nigeria also has certain compliances in place as well for your application to become, that your application has to be compliant against for you to be able to run as a business within Nigeria. Right. And so all of these things are really important. As much as we want to just build set up VPC, we must check against this thing. Very important. In fact, and you'll be shocked that these compliance are even different per region. The one in Nigeria might not necessarily apply to the one in US. Like, I know of a compliance that a compliance that we had to align to as a company in Nigeria is that you cannot charge in USD if you're in Nigeria. I hope we all know that you cannot charge in USD if you're in Nigeria. And so all of those. So if you build an application around charging in USD and then you get there and then they tell you that no, you can't do this, it means you have to go back to and start correcting all of those things. So for us to be able to build and build right, the idea is not just to build. The idea is to build and build right. The idea is to build and build securely. The idea is to build and build with every best practices in mind. So we must also take compliance as serious as that. And so when it comes to governance best practices, I think I've been able to do a bit of explaining at the beginning. And it's also important that you tag resources, especially for cost tracking and management, right? Because if I say, you have different, we used to build applications, and it has to go through different environments. So you have the one for dev, you have the one for QA, you have the one for UAT, and then you have the one for some of us even have pre-prod, and then you have the one for production. Now, how do you properly track the spending that is for dev alone? How do you properly track the spending that is for UAT alone? Or let's say you are not even divided that way. Let's say you are divided into different products, like different products in the company. Let's say you are, let me use an example of my company. So we have an HR, we have recruitment, we have payroll, we have different other products. Now, for us to be able to judge properly how much is payroll spending in the infrastructure, we have to tag these resources. Some of us just build and we don't tag, maybe because we are still doing testing, just running. But when it comes to production scale or proper company, you have to tag resources to be able to track spendings, to be able to track even their resource utilizations. And this helps you to make informed decisions, especially going forward. Recently we just had to we had to stop. So we made an implementation because we saw that dev was almost costing us the same thing as as what production was costing us, which is not supposed to be. So we at a particular point in time in the day, we shut down dev and UAT. We leave only production. In the morning again, we start it, and we saw that we could able to reduce cost on those other areas. Now, these are the kind of decisions that tagging your resources and resource management helps you to achieve as well. Using cost monitor, AWS Cost Explorer, setting budgets. Several companies don't set budgets. You'll be shocked. They don't. Everybody, they're just spending as they like. You must ensure that it is a best practice for you to set budget. For this month, the highest that you want to spend is $1,000. Set it there. So that once you are beginning to enter certain, sometimes we don't even know we are supposed to shut down the server and we've forgotten that, we didn't shut down the server. You can set daily budget, you can set monthly budgets, right? This helps you to be more efficient, with how you manage your resources. And, setting resource limits is also very important. Say in a company now, we don't want to spin up more than 10 EC2 instances or 3 Kubernetes cluster in a week. You can set all of these resource limits even on AWS. It is a way of governing and managing all the processes and and infrastructure spin up that is happening within the company. So I might not be there to always go and check every single day, who has spinned up how many resources, who has spinned up to no. With implementing all of these things, it is automated and I can get feedback even without having access to even the AWS itself, right? Risk management is also very important, especially conducting regular risk assessments. You can use AWS Trusted Advisor for that as well. And these are just some of the tools that I just listed out. That can be used, when you want to, I just combine all of them together. When you want to properly account for, or you want to properly tailor your implementation for security, compliance, and governance, the first thing is AWS key management service. It makes it easy for you to create and control, the encryption key, such and that is used to encrypt your data, right? Because that there's something we call PII. Now, PII is a personal information, right? Personal information, basically. Now, nobody, even the company that they're working for, or the company that is collecting this data, are not supposed to share this data no matter what, right? And so most of the time when we want to do this, we always encrypt them so that we ourselves are not even privy to this data, like password, like like BVN details, like bank details, and all of these things, so that we ourselves are not privy to this information. There is always an encryption upon input, and so KMS helps us achieve all of these things. CloudTrail, I explained what CloudTrail could do, to help us. It enables governance, compliance, and operational audits, on our AWS account. CloudWatch helps us with observability, and monitoring of our application, our infrastructure. Security Hub provides us with comprehensive view of our high priority security alerts. And AWS Config, I think I need to mention what AWS Config does. So it's actually a service that enables you to access, audit, and evaluate configurations for your AWS resources. So you want to maintain, certain configuration across board, or across, let's say, your dev, UAT, and prod, right? Maybe there are certain configurations that do not change. AWS Config can help us undo that, and then they can help us make sure that we stay consistent in all of these things. I think I explained to us what AWS Artifact does. So it provides us like an on-demand access to AWS security and compliance reports, right? You can generate reports on demand. You can tell AWS, and when you go to Artifact of AWS Artifact, tell them, okay, I want to check all of my infrastructure. I want to know if I am compliant with certain frameworks, and then it downloads you a report, and you can begin to orchestrate and change certain things according to this report. Now, Amazon Macy is very important, and people they probably have not even heard of Amazon Macy. So, but it's actually a fully managed data security and data privacy service, that uses machine learning and pattern matching to discover and protect your sensitive data in AWS. So it's more or less AI at work. I don't want to use that term loosely, because I know we have several tech people here, and and all of those things. And so, like, identifying and protecting sensitive data, such as personal identifiable information, that's PII. And so AWS Macy can help us scan through and help us see, okay, I think this is a personal information and it should be encrypted. Some of us don't know if our surname is a personal information, or if our phone number is a personal information or not, or if our address is a personal information or not. And so even in building, some of these developers can make the mistakes in judgment, right? They don't know, okay, is salary a personal information or not? Sometimes you don't really know, right? So this is what makes it helps us to, it's a machine learning that has, that is based off of data, globally, several data globally, so it can make informed decisions for us, with that as well. Now, control tower is very important. Or control tower, it offers us the easiest way to set up, govern, new, secure, multi-account AWS. Sometimes you want to set up multiple accounts for different, product teams. If you're working in a big organization, you begin to understand that, wow, so there can be, like now, let's say Apple, for instance. Apple has different products. So it means that they have probably thousands of teams or thousands of products. There might be a product team that is responsible for animation. There can be a product team that is responsible for their Apple store. There might be a different team that is responsible for so many things, notifications only. So we have so many different things. And so sometimes you want to create multiple accounts, AWS accounts, but still under the same organization. They are still under the same organization, but multiple accounts for multiple teams. In fact, they might not even relate together. And so you don't want to just go and bombard all of them in one single account. So Control Tower helps us to manage all of these things securely and to provision new AWS account based off of best practices. And then the last one, which is Trust Advisor. So it's an online resources that helps us to reduce costs, helps us to increase performance, helps us to improve security, and also give us suggestions on how to improve our AWS environment. And I think that's just it. So the summary of this thing is that we must ensure we implement strong IAM practices and encrypt data. We must adhere, we must understand it, then we must adhere to compliance requirements, having known the drawbacks that we can get from these things, and also establishing robust governance policies and tools to manage multiple teams. We are not going to remain small forever. The team is going to grow, the company is going to grow. And if you have a vision that your company is going to grow, your team is going to grow, then you must begin to invest into proper governance as well. And so I think that's the end of my presentation. If there's any question or any discussions, I'll be open to that at the moment. Thank you very much, guys.
Yes, thank you so much, Bob. That was awesome. God, I can't even find the right word to use. But thank you. This was very, very insightful, enlightening, educative, interesting, awesome, beautiful. What's the other thing again? Handsome, everything, every kind of beautiful words like that. And I'm sure every other person on this call today would share the same. What's that English? God, English fails me at the worst times possible. In which way, yes, thank you so very much. That was very interesting, and I'm sure that every one of us here we have learned something very beautiful. Personally, not really that I've always mixed up compliance and security specifically, but I think at the back end of my mind, I never comes down to really think about that. Come, babe, compliance is very different from security. Probably if I had been asked to talk about them, I would have taken a moment to calm down and then see that, oh, they are two different things. But at the front end, I'm sure I wasn't really thinking about the difference. And I was blown away when you started to, talk about all of these things. I wasn't surprised anyways. I mean, we have Bob Adeusi. So yes, some people are going to be here with questions. I'm trying to check now, guys. If you have questions, please drop them. Drop them Bob is here and is going to answer your questions. So I'm going through the chat now to see if there are questions for us. I'm seeing, I'm going to see, I'm seeing. All right. So, yes, everybody is saying that they learned raw knowledge, raw, uncooked knowledge. And yes, it's very insightful. It's everything. So, please, guys, if you have questions, I'm going to give just 1 minute for you to drop your questions, specifically because I mentioned it earlier. So, in 1 minute I'm going to just await your questions, the questions you have for us. While this is going on, while we are waiting, so that we just do not leave the time not spent appropriately, I think we can have a manual give us some of the announcements that we have, and in between that, when our questions are up, then some of you could still be typing the English. Don't worry, just type the English anyhow. That's why I'm here, to help you to retype the English by mouth, in case you want to bring data and I'll convert it to information for you. That kind of thing. From primary school, data is unprocessed information. So bring the data, I'll do the information. So while I wait for your questions, I'm going to have Manuel come up and give us some of the announcements that we have. Thank you very much.
All right, Fazia. All right, thank you very much. Thank you once again, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Bob, for that explosive presentation. I mean, so much. Learned a lot from that particular presentation. Thank you once again. And so quickly, I'll be quickly diving into the announcements. So first of all, I want to take the first one, which is the website development volunteering. So we have an initiative currently in the community, which is more or less couple of people or volunteers coming in together to work on the website development project that we have currently on. So we have a form for that. And first of all, this initiative is to encourage each and every one of us to contribute as well as something that you could actually show forth to possible employers. And you don't know what that could actually bet, but it's an opportunity and it's an avenue for us to contribute all of those things we've learned through various projects. We actually put them into real life projects in itself. So I will encourage each and every one of us in whatever field and expertise that is being needed for this particular project to come in and volunteer for this. So we need UI, UX personnel, we need front-end engineers, the back-end engineers, even the cloud engineers as well too. So irrespective of your field and expertise, you could actually put in an application. So more context on this will be shared in the community group chat. Then secondly, moving quickly, we have an initiative which is more or less called the KSS for short, which is knowledge sharing section. And this is an avenue where people from the community get to more or less come on board and get to teach or more or less passing information and share knowledge and ideas around things they've actually worked on in the course of few months or few times. Basically, they can actually come on board and get to share that particular knowledge with the community. And it's an avenue for each and every one of us in the community for us to be able to come as well as impact the knowledge that we've learned via personal projects, via life projects that we've worked on. And get to share those knowledge with people in the community as well. And it's an avenue for each and every one of the members of the community for us to learn something new from various people that have worked on a couple of things. I think proud to now, I have a friend that worked on an exciting project and he was sharing that project with me. And it was really an exciting one. And I was just looking at, wow, it would actually be a nice one if this particular project can actually be shared with the community members. So this is actually an avenue and an initiative for everyone in the community member to be able to come as well and teach and impact people in the community. And from there, actually even get to learn more as well. So this is more or less like a call there'll be an application form passed across in the community group where we could actually indicate interest for this particular initiative. And for people that are actually currently not on the group chat, yeah, in the description of this particular YouTube streaming link, we'll get to put the community URL link for you to join as well. Then thirdly, the next set of projects. Just as you know, we've been engaging a couple of projects before now. So we'll still continue in that particular line as well. So the next set of projects will be communicated as well on the group. So guard your shirts up and let's get ready to work as well again. Then the last announcement I'll be taking real quick will be more or less to encourage each and every one of us, all the members of the community group, to actively participate in content that are being posted on in the community group chat. So we noticed lately that the engagement rate has not really been encouraging, and this is more or less for us to encourage each and every one of us. I know we can actually be very busy, but whenever we get to post content on the group, it's for us to actually learn. And I'll not lie to you, there's a lot actually going on in the content that we'll be putting out lately. A lot of things to learn, a lot of things to, insights being dropped on a group in terms of content. So I really want to encourage each and every one of us on the call here and people that will get to watch this particular session later on to always, as much as possible, to be able to engage the content that is being dropped on the community group chat. And I think that's more or less all for the announcement for now. Further or whatever necessary communication that are still left to be passed on in the community group chat. Yeah, thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Manuel. So now we move on to the question and answer session because my people have finally found their voices. So the very first question we have here for Bob is from Moses. He says, what is the relevance of security, compliance, and governance aside DevOps in web services, ML, AI, etc.? I'll take that again. It says, what is the relevance of security, compliance, and governance aside for DevOps in web services, machine learning, and AI, etc.? So I'm guessing that he wants to know the relevance of all of this in other things aside DevOps.
Right,
I hope Bob got that. So,
I can.
Bob, do you want to answer this, or should I read everything?
Let me answer this so that it's not like too many. Or let me.
All right.
So I'm just going to go ahead with it. So when you talk about ML, AI, all of these things, they are still built on the practices that DevOps orchestrates. So whatever you are building in this life, all right, I feel like the bedrock of everything that we build is on whatever orchestration that DevOps builds. It's more like the foundation. You cannot provision a server, you cannot provision a website anywhere in this world that does not run on a server. And so it means that the orchestration of that server, the security of the server, the compliance of it might be server. The server, because everything still runs on the server at the end of the day, is still based on the security of our application is still based on the foundation. It's like saying the strength of whatever building you build in this world, either a stadium or an event center or a studio or a residential house, is still dependent on the strength of the foundation, no matter what you are building on it, right? So it means that yes, I'm not going to say that all that there is to to DevOps is just that part, but it means that especially when it comes to the infrastructure part of this, which also transcends to the application you are building on it, it's more or less very needed and very, very essential. Because if your data is leaking, no matter what you build on it, if the data is leaking, it's still going to affect the whole company and the whole application at large. And if the security of the infrastructure is breached, it's still going to affect the application at large, irrespective of whatever is being built, be it ML, be it AI, be it deep learning, anything. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. So, Moses, you heard that. Security, compliance, governance, everything, they all apply to everything and anything you want to build. So our second question is from Noibi Olamilekan. It says, if you have set up a server that doesn't follow standard practices, such as exposing its public IP to the internet, and you have already configured everything, is it possible to remove the IP or would you have to redo everything? Did you get that, Bob?
Yes, yes.
All
And
right,
so
thank
for
you.
every, let's say you've configured everything, right? The first thing you should do, because I don't always advise that, oh, just go and change something. The first thing you should do, you want to use Trust Advisor. You want to use AWS, artifacts to check against that infrastructure. Now, what you check against is going to give you a report of what you currently have, what it is expected to be, the recommendations. Now, this recommendation is going to aid your decision in doing this. And when it comes to IP, I mean, if it is not an elastic IP, first of all, it means it changes. So if you secure an elastic IP, you can easily secure it probably by putting it behind the load balancer that has a certificate on the load balancer, and this kind of like caters for that aspect that he's trying to like talk about. So yeah, all of those things are fixable in as much as they are uncompliant, they can be made compliant, right? So only on rare cases do you have to redo it from scratch. Only on rare cases. Like now, it is not best practice for you to build an infrastructure on a default VPC. It is not a best practice. So, but if you are as a company, you have built the whole of your infrastructure now on a default VPC, you can't delete. First of all, you can't move it, you can't change it, you can't delete it, right? So that would require that you gradually migrate, to another environment with the best practice, unless there is now a solution to that. But as at the time last time I was able to check, there was no solution to that. And so yeah, you just have to get informed. You have to make an informed decision on whatever operation you are trying to do, especially because a small change is like removing a bolt from the foundation of a house. The whole building can crash. So we just have to be very, very careful.
So, did you hear that? Some mistakes can be very costly, and I hope we don't get to make them. Thank you very much, Bob. So, we have one last question. This one is from John. John says, how can a blockchain enthusiast leverage on all the security architectures in AWS? And he also says that he needs an expert in Web3 JS. I hope I read that correctly. Oh, God.
All right.
Oh, you got it right? Yes, thank you.
Yes, 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 yes. And so I think one of the first thing that I need to maybe I have to make people understand is that first of all, Web3 is, you have Web3 dev, you have the Web3 infrastructure part of the Web3, right? And we must understand that what solution you are building is still on the same it's still on the same concept of infrastructure that we have. I've been privileged to work with a to Nethermind. Nethermind is a global blockchain company, right? They still leverage on this. They leverage GCP. They leverage servers on GCP, Kubernetes clusters, right? Even to provision their solution and all of those. So the infrastructure considerations and orchestrations does not so much change or very very different. There's no large difference between Web3 and even normal orchestration when it comes to the infrastructure level, right? So, but it just means that there are certain their compliance might be different, right? Their compliance, like the way compliance for fintech app will be different for compliance from HR app, especially based on infrastructure. The same thing also happens with Web3. You have to be compliant, and you just have to get their compliance framework, and then you orchestrate your solution based off of that framework. But it's still the little minute details that you need to also change.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. So, John says that he would be needing
Is it just me? I can't hear again.
needing a Web3 expert too, and still hear me. I'm sure Bob here would be able to help somehow. Bob, right?
Yeah. You can reach me on Twitter. I think
Yeah.
I'll be able to. If I do not have so much experience, I can be able to point you to someone who does as well.
Him on LinkedIn, Bob Adewusi on LinkedIn. I know that one. His Twitter handle. Sure, you guess like that. So, that would be all, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank
That
you very
ends
much.
our question and answer session. And now we shall be moving on to the next thing on the agenda. Something very interesting. I'm not going.
Okay, it seems we're not able to hear Fauzia any longer. So quickly, we're moving to the next item on the agenda. Um, Thank you very much, Bob, for joining. Thank you for sharing those huge knowledge with us. I really appreciate that. So without wasting much of our time, we'll be moving into the next item on the agenda. Mr. Wale, you have the floor now. Thank you very much.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Please, can you confirm that I can be heard?
Yes, you're audible.
So, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. And I'm going to take the next section of today's event, which is our quiz. As it is our tradition to always have quiz sections for most of our events, so we're also going to have another quiz session today. And anybody interested can participate in it. And it's not for free. You have things to win. You don't participate alone. You have things to win if you come up on top of our leaderboard. So I would want each and every one of us to take a few seconds to prepare ourselves, take a deep breath, and ready to dive into the quiz for today. So we are going to host our quiz for today on Mentimeter, which is what we use for events like this. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so you can see the questions. Okay, so give me a few seconds to do that. And let me know if you can see my screen.
It's
Yes.
okay. We can see it now.
Good. So you can see the Mentimeter page.
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, good. So for anyone interested in participating, T.com on any of your internet connected devices. So you can make use of your phone, you can make use of your laptop or any other device to which you can connect to the internet. Okay. So you go to menti.com, menti.com. Go to menti.com and then you are going to be asked for a code, okay, to access this quiz. And the code is this here: 77503351. Okay, so I'm going to give the space of a few minutes for people to join in before we go ahead with the quiz. So the website is menti.com, menti.com, and here is the code: 77503351.
I'm sorry, a quick one. Can you get to share the link as well as the code to join on the comment section so people can actually get that
Yeah,
easily?
yeah, that's what I want to do just now. Okay, so I'm here on the chats on YouTube, and I would like people to comment if they have been able to log into the quiz. Okay, so I will be watching to see if you have gotten access to the quiz. Please, I'll be reading the comments to know if you have. And if you have any issues with it, please, you can also let us know in the comments. Oluwatobilo Batilola said, no, I'm sorry, that's not descriptive enough. What do you mean, no? No, you have no issues, or no, you don't have access? The quiz link is menti.com, menti.com. If anyone has been able to access the quiz and you can see the page that is being broadcast, please type yes here in the chat section so we can know how many people are ready. Just type yes, why he has yes on the chat section. Okay, so yeah, we are waiting for players to join in. We have 4 people already. We are waiting for more participants to join in. Okay, we don't want anyone to be left out. So we're going to wait a few more minutes. If you're having any issues that's hindering you from joining, please let's know. We have 5 players. Let's wait for a few more. Okay, so if there is anyone that still wants to join but has been unable to join, I would like the person to signify here on the comment section so we can know if you actually have anybody we're waiting for, or we can just go ahead with the quiz. Okay, so I'll wait for just 1 more minute. 1 more minute. You have to signify here in the chat section if you have any delay. Okay, so we can wait for you. After a minute and I don't see anybody signifying that he or she has a delay, then we're going to go ahead with the quiz. Onyedika Sams says is they can join. So can you tell us what's the problem? Is it your network or something? Can't find the link. It's menti.com, menti.com. And here is the code to join. Once you access the link, here is the code to join: 77503351. We still have 5 players. We have about 30 seconds more to wait for others to join in. Onyedika Sams and Olawumi Sodiq, I hope you now have the link and you have the code. I'm expecting you to join in very soon. So we have 6 players. A few more seconds before we go on. If you have any issues, it's on resolved yet, you can let us know in the chat section here, so we can wait for you if that's possible. Onyedi Kasams, have you been able to join? Olawumi Sodiq, have you been able to join? We have 7 players, and I think we'll go on with that. Okay. So any other person who wants to participate can join us during the course of the quiz. So we don't have to start with everybody. Anyone who wants to join us can still join us during the duration of the quiz. So I'll start. This is how the quiz works. Okay, so you have a question here. This is the first question here showing for you. And then you have options. You have 4 options. You have 15 seconds to pick the right answer. And you get as many points as how quickly you pick the right answer. Okay. I think 5 people selected the correct answer. So let's go and see our leaderboard. Okay, so here is our leaderboard. The 5 people that selected the 5 answers have different points based on how quickly they selected the answers. So if you want the best result here, you have to select the right answer and select it as quickly as possible. You have the first question. You have the so for the second question, you're going to see the question displayed for about 5 seconds. Then you see the options. So once you see the question, you can start thinking about what the answers will be. Then you see the options for 15 seconds, and you should pick the correct option as quickly as you can to get the maximum points. So now we have the first question done, which we're going to go with to the second question. We have 5 questions all involved, and we have enough gift for um, everyone participating that come up on top of our leaderboard. Okay, on to the next question. This is okay. We still have 7 players, and here's our second question. And there are the options. Ooh, we only have one person with the correct answer, and the correct answer is to manage user authentication authorization. I think many people would get this wrong because they were trying to be fast, not really because they do not know the answer. So you have to strike a balance there. As much as you try to be fast, you also have to make sure you're selecting the correct option. Okay, so we go on to see our leaderboard after the second question. Ooh, Ayomi Olawumi is now on top of our leaderboard. That would be the only person that got the second question correctly. In second place, we have V. In third place, we have Williams. In fourth place, we have Bolu and Oluwatobilova in fifth place. Daniel in sixth. So you hardly have enough time, enough questions to shuffle this leaderboard. And if you're interested in being at the top, you just have to answer the next questions as quickly as, as you can and as correctly as you can, which is even more important. So now we're going to go on to the next question, to the third question. I'll give you 5 seconds to take a deep breath so you don't feel rushed. Okay, on to question 3. We have 7 players. Okay. Okay, yeah, for this question, we have 4 correct answers. And so it boils down to who answered the quickest, and that's going to determine how our leaderboard is reshuffled. I'm going to go on now to show the current leaderboard after the third question. Brace up. Here it is. Ooh, we now have a very tight contest between Ayomi Olaumi. Oh, in first place, then Dolo Daniel Vroom in second, third, and fourth place, respectively. V. Williams and Roberto Glover in fifth, sixth, and seventh. Oh, now these are three questions done, which we have two more questions left. So this is your time to raise up if you want to actually raise up and overtake whoever it is you want to overtake. The next two questions will be the determining factor. So are we ready for the next one, please? Okay. For question four, we have seven players. It's fast to get more points. Okay. Here is the question. Ooh. You have the answers divided in two ways, equally, but one of them turned out to be the correct one. AWS Fargate is the correct answer. Let's look at our leaderboard now after the fourth question. Just one more question to go. Ooh. There is time for just one more final reshuffling. Interesting. Okay, let's move on to our final question. Oh, good. We have our seven players all through the duration of all five questions. That's good. There it is. Okay, we have the majority getting the correct answer for this one also. We have five people with the correct answer. So how many points you get boils down to how quickly you answer this question. And there it is. So we just need to look at our leaderboard now to see who comes on top and who came second and third. Okay. Ayomi Olaumi came first for this quiz. In second position is Vroom. In third position is Daniel. In, and we have Williams in fifth and Bolo in sixth. Okay, that will be all for today's quiz. There will be prizes for the winners of today's event, and so I'll leave the floor for the next person to come on and announce what the prizes will be. And thank you very much, all seven of you, for participating in today's quiz. Thank the broader audience for listening to today's event. I hope you have something to learn. I also hope we've learned a couple of things from this quiz too. And I hope you have sufficient reward for the time spent here. Thank you very much for participating. See you next time. Thank you very much. Okay, Ola is going to come on to come and announce the prices for the first, second, and third positions from the just concluded quiz. Thank you.
All right. So, well done, guys. Be announcing the prizes for those that came first, second, and third places. Um, for the third place, we'll be giving out socks and stickers. Yeah, that's for the person that came third. For the second winner, like the second place, we'll be giving out our, I won't say it. Oops. Sorry, guys. Okay,
So
for the
sorry for the
second,
second. Okay,
okay,
you could go
for the
on, please.
second place, we'll be giving out our outer brochure and stickers. Then for the first place, which is the winner, Ayomiko Olawumi, right? So we'll be giving out one mug and a sticker to the winner. Thank you all for participating, and you can join the community as well if you are not yet on the group, and you can message any of the admin to have a probably if you have question or whatever, like just message any of the admin, they will actually come through. Thank you all once again for joining this section. I really hope you enjoy your day. Do have a lovely time. Thanks.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining in this session. We appreciate the time that you put in, and we hope you guys learned a lot and gained a lot from this session today. So I believe some people have not like yet joined our WhatsApp community. Like I can see some questions here. So I'll be sharing the link to join our WhatsApp community here on the YouTube chat before we close the call. And we hope you guys join. And for those that want prizes, you can message any of the admins of the community and just like message them and tell them, and they will direct you on the next steps on how you receive your respective prizes. So thank you very much for joining us. We hope you have a nice week ahead and a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now have a great week. Bye for now.
Wait, sorry, let me share the link to the